Calm for 3 years and I still don't know how to work the
I
equipment.
really don't. I know I did like Photoshop and like all that other stuff.
Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yep.
What's it at?
All right, you're good. I'm gonna.
Okay, perfect. I'll have to start this without y'all. Hey y'all, welcome back to Tech Talk. I am your host, Berkeley Adams, and I'm here with the Texas Tech Master Writer, Ashley Adams, who also happens to be my sister. So we are here to interview her. And are you ready?
Ready?
Ready. Okay. What is your background information? So major, classification, hometown. Tell us about you.
So I'm originally from Lubbock, Texas. Was born and raised here. I am getting my graduate degree in animal science right now, and will hopefully graduate in May.
Awesome. What is the Master Writer?
The Master Writer is actually the official mascot for Texas Tech University. We were established in 1954 by Joe Kirk Fulton at the Gator Bowl. Before that, the Master Writer would just kind of appear whenever, wherever, and so we were called the Ghost Riders back then. But then once Joe Kirk was the first official Master Writer, we have been the Master Writer ever since then.
Awesome. So what does the Master Writer do on game days?
So we're a big part of game day here at Tech for football. Our main job is to lead the team out onto the field, but it starts way earlier than kickoff. So for a 6 o'clock kickoff time like we have for homecoming this week, my morning will start at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll get up, feed Fearless Champion his breakfast, make sure he has plenty of time to eat, has plenty of water, and so that he can slowly start his morning. And then I'll get him ready that morning by making sure he's exercised, he stretched his legs. About 11 o'clock, my team will get there. I have an amazing team that helps me get everything ready. So I will bathe Fearless Champion while they wash the trailer, and one assistant will wash the tack and get it all cleaned and shined up. Once everybody's done with their respective jobs, we let Fearless Champion dry, eat a little bit of lunch, and then we actually go get lunch ourselves and then start slowly getting ready. And it takes a lot to curl hair, do the makeup, just takes a little bit more time. And game day is a day that you don't really want to be rushed, so we tend to have a little bit of downtime around lunch.
Yeah.
We get to the stadium about 4:15 for Raider Alley, so we'll show up. I'll unload Fearless Champion, get him ready, and then I'll put on my cape and mask and hat, and we'll go over to the other side of the Fraser and stand for about an hour and sign autographs and let everyone meet Fearless. And then about 5:30 is when we go down onto the Jones, and we'll do a little bit of pregame down there with recruits will come by and say hi and get to meet him.
That's
and
so
then they'll ring Bang and Bertha, they'll do the national anthem, and then that's when everything kind of goes quiet to the rider. Like, obviously it's not quiet in the stadium. It's when you watch your videos, you hear how loud, but at that point you're so zoned in and so ready for your job that everything goes quiet, and then all of a sudden it's your turn to run, and you run and the team follows out behind you. And so that's what we're most known for, is that initial run into the game. But we'll actually do touchdown runs. So when Texas Tech scores, we will do a touchdown run in the opposite end zone of what they scored in. So when they score a lot this weekend, be looking for us on the opposite end zone.
Yeah, those are valued runs.
Yes,
'cause
they
don't
are.
always happen. Who does your hair and makeup?
You do, yes. Well, actually, I do my own makeup, but you do the hair.
Do the hair. Lots of hairspray in that.
Yes.
It's not moving.
A whole can.
A whole lot. What are your responsibilities as the Master Writer?
My big responsibility is Fearless Champion. He is owned by the university, but whoever the rider is, he is 100% their responsibility. So his feeding him twice a day, making sure he has water, making sure he has a clean stall or clean run, making sure he's exercised, not only for football, but we do about 360 appearances a year, and making sure that he is physically fit for those, whether it's going to be more standing there appearances or parades when you're walking. But everything that he needs is my responsibility. Tech has an amazing vet staff. I have an amazing support system. There's a selection committee that is there for anything we need. There's a spirit program. My boss in the spirit program is there for so much for me. I have 4 amazing assistants. I have a team of field safety for when we run down the football field, making sure that nobody gets in our path. But the program's the rider's responsibility, even the truck and trailer hauling to and from appearances. A lot of people think that the mass rider just shows up at game days, gets on Fearless, and runs down the field. But in fact, we're the ones that get them ready. We've got to make sure the truck's gassed up. You've got to make sure the truck and trailer's cleaned. If you're leaving for a long road trip, that your tires have air pressure. So essentially everything you see of the mass rider program, it's the mass rider's responsibility.
It's a big responsibility.
Yes.
What kind of appearances do you have to make? So I know that football is the main one that you are known for, but there are hundreds of others that are apart from football. So what do you do?
So it ranges. In the summer and the winter, we do a lot of parades. In the summer, it's a lot of rodeo parades and grand entries, and so that kind of tends to take up a lot of our summer. In the winter, we do like the like Christmas parades for small towns. We have a light up cape and hat that we get to wear, and so during those night parades, we'll wear that. During the summer, we do a lot for tech, for orientation, and for students coming in. Then throughout the school year, we do a lot of alumni events, a lot of scholarship dinners, a lot of travel. Really and truthfully, wherever somebody wants us, we try and go. Elementary schools, the last 3 weeks, we've been going to quite a few elementary schools in the morning and greeting students as they come in for their day. In the spring, baseball's a big one for us. We'll run at each of the opening games. I think that's how they've done it in the past. I haven't had that meeting yet, so I'm not sure. But we have baseball. We have Carol of Lights coming up. In the spring, we get to travel to all of the rodeos and do their grand entry there. So we'll get to run at Houston at the NRG Stadium, and Rodeo Austin and San Antonio, and just everywhere that there are Red Raiders, we try and get to.
Yeah, which is everywhere, right?
Which is everywhere. Yes, honestly. I haven't gone to a town that there hasn't at least been one
That's
Tech
awesome.
fan.
The infamous light up cape. Are you excited for Carol of Lights?
Yes,
very
I'm so
soon.
excited. It's
Yeah.
November 30th. So
Oh, is it really? It's
that's the
normally
first.
December.
Well, it's the first Tuesday. I think they do it normally the first Tuesday, and that just so happens that week that it falls in November. I guess.
November. Yeah. What made you want to be the master rider?
I don't know if there was one particular event, but when I was little, I just remember always loving horses, and then seeing the master rider at a game, and I think I walked around the whole time saying, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to do. That's what I told everyone in kindergarten, and I was like, I'm going to be the master rider. I thought it was a full-time job that you got there and got to keep it for your whole life.
Yeah.
But I think then once you get to Tech and you get to know about the Master Rider program and the traditions and the history that it has, it just furthers that love. And then getting to know Fearless Champion and being around him, that's the icing on the cake. And then it's like, nope, this is absolutely something I want to do.
Yeah.
So,
At games and all of our not baby pictures, but younger pictures.
Halloween,
Ashley
we were dressed up as
was
Master Rider.
Ashley was the master rider every year for Halloween. I think there were maybe 2 years that she was in a different costume. But
Yeah,
other
honestly.
than that, and at game days, so many pictures of Ashley standing next to the master rider when she was
We followed
Younger.
Katie Caruth around her year. All of my pictures
Yep.
that year are
Yep.
with her in some form, if she's in the background and doesn't know we're there, or
Yeah.
if we're actually all posed for a picture. But
Katie, you had
She-
stalkers.
Katie, yeah,
And here
I'm
she
so
is.
sorry. We followed you
That
around
means
so
that you
much.
probably have stalkers, so
Probably. I don't. Fearless has stalkers.
that's right. What is the selection process like? How do you get selected to be the master rider?
So the selection process is pretty lengthy. First off the bat, you have to meet an hours requirement and a GPA requirement. If you meet that, then you move on to a written test where they test your horse knowledge, because obviously our job has to do with a horse. So they test your horse knowledge, then your Texas Tech University knowledge, your Master Rider knowledge, your Spirit Program knowledge, your Big 12 knowledge, anything that somebody might ask you at an appearance, because you are an ambassador, you're the official mascot of Texas Tech, and so they want to make sure that whoever they're sending up the road to represent the university knows about the university. If you pass that, then you move on to an equestrian portion, because like I said, a big part of our job is with Fearless. So they make sure that you can safely saddle him, that you can groom him, that you can wrap legs, that you can do all the things that you need to safely ride him, to be around him. If you pass that, then you move on to a truck and trailer portion where they make sure that you can hook up the truck to the trailer, that you can safely haul him up and down the road because, like I said, I drive to every appearance. The only time the only time that I'm not driving the truck and trailer is when we're in a parade and one of my assistants is following behind us. But other than that, it's 100%. And so then if you pass that, then you move on to an in-person interview with about 25 people, make up the Master Rider Selection Committee, and they start asking you questions. And it's the most nerve-wracking feeling ever because at this point you're like, man, I'm so close. Like I can just taste it. The goal's right there, but you still have a huge hurdle to get through. And then throughout that, you have to have 3 letters of recommendation, and there's 10 essay questions that they ask you, and you've got to answer those, and those get turned over to the selection committee for them to read, as well as having all of your scores from throughout the tryout process and your interview, and that's how they select the rider. And so if you pass the interview, then you get the phone call and you're offered the job for a year. So
Best
kind of
phone
how
call
it
you'll
works.
ever
Yes,
get.
best phone call. But honestly, it's the most nervous phone call because you're sitting there just staring at your phone, and then all of a sudden it rings, and you're like, no. And they called on April Fools this year, and so it was kind of one of those where you're like, it's got to be an early April Fool's joke. And Stephanie was like, no, it's not. We'd like to offer you the position. You're like, this is not funny. Like, if there's an April Fool's, like, let's just start with that.
A lot happened on April Fool's this year.
Yeah.
With the phone call, and then Beard left on April Fool's. That's why whenever he left, I was like, if it's still true tomorrow, I'll believe it.
Oh,
and
see, I just
it was true.
Forgot about that part of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
The phone call overshadowed a lot of it.
Absolutely. How does the Master Rider contribute to Texas Tech?
I'd say the Master Rider contributes heavily to Texas Tech. It's a big part of our school's tradition and history, and it's amazing how many people, the first time they've ever met you, the way they walk up and talk about the program, the love that they have for the Master Rider, for Fearless Champion, and for whichever rider is in that position. They are so excited to see you. They're so excited to get to know you. So I would say that the Master Rider is huge, is a big staple in the Texas Tech history and the traditions and what makes our university our university.
Yeah. Football wouldn't be football without the Master Rider.
No, it
sports
wouldn't be.
Wouldn't be sports without the Master Rider.
And a Fearless Champion deserves way more recognition and credit than he ever gets, because he is truly the biggest blessing and the best horse to do this job with, and it's just
he's a sweetheart.
Incredible. Yes. Yeah. So he's a big part of this university, and we're blessed to have a university that allows us to have a live mascot that runs on a football field
that people can come pet.
Yes, that people can come pet. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, you can't walk up and pet them or a tiger, but you can sure come love on Fearless, and it's a huge part of the university, I'd say.
What has your experience at Tech been like?
Amazing. It's been great. Like anything in life, there have been some days where you're like, man, am I on the right path? But then there are other days where you look up and you're like, but even on those bad days, there's nowhere else you'd rather be. I got my undergrad at Tech, and I was on the ranch horse team during those 4 years, and we were national champions twice. And so that was amazing and so much fun then, and learning. You look back on your undergrad years and you're like, man, if I knew then what I knew now. But during my undergrad and then coming back for grad school, Tech has just been incredible. And I'd never, if I had it to do over again, I'd do it the exact same and come to Texas Tech maybe even earlier.
Yeah, exactly. What are your favorite traditions at Tech?
My favorite tradition at Tech is the Master Rider. But also being in the Spirit program and hearing and seeing the tradition of Raider Red, he is just as incredible, and we do so much with him as well. And so he's another one of my favorite traditions. But honestly, everything about Tech I think can be wrapped up in a tradition, and that Tech itself is a tradition. And so it's hard to pick. Just if I had to pick just one other than Fearless, I don't know if I could, because it all goes hand in hand, I feel like. But
Yeah.
if I got to pick one, it would be the Mastrider.
Yeah, exactly. What has your favorite appearance been? Do you have a favorite appearance, or they're all your favorite?
They're honestly all my favorite. Honestly, they've all been my favorite. Each one is special for different reasons. The 4th on Broadway was pretty cool, being from Lubbock and getting you turn onto Broadway and you hear everybody start chanting greater power. And that was the first time I'd ever heard it to that level. Because normally at small town parades, there's just a handful of fans and you get some people hollering the different schools' names and signs at you. And so you just kind of, to be at home and to go through a parade in Lubbock and hear people chant Raider Power multiple times, that was an appearance in the middle of it. You're like, you can't cry, you can't tear up, because it just, you're surrounded by your people and everyone's so excited to see the Mastrider and Fearless. But football is also a huge favorite.
Yeah.
Like nothing
entrance.
can top football. But then again, it'd be naive to say that there aren't some favorites coming up. Like I'm looking forward to Carol of Lights, to running at baseball and running at Houston and all the everything coming up. There's still so much that I don't know. Don't know if you could say there's a favorite, because each one is amazing in so many different ways.
Yeah, and the upcoming ones are so exciting.
Yes.
That it's like, can't pick a favorite if I haven't done them all.
I know, right?
And had
Ask
them all.
me in April. Maybe I'll have a favorite by then.
Oh, what is going through your mind, or is anything going through your mind as you run onto the field with your guns up?
Make sure you smile.
Yeah.
No, honestly, the last thing I can like picture perfectly, like clear here, is the national anthem. We're starting to walk Fearless kind of when they start doing the hype video, and so we're walking him and letting him get warmed up and ready to go for his run, and then we'll stop for the national anthem, and then we'll start walking again. And that's the last thing I truly remember like hearing like clear, because at that point you're just so zoned in on your job. And a lot of people think that we decide when we run, but actually one of my bosses, Dr. Jackson, is standing in front of us, and he's the one listening to the music and letting us know when we need to go. And so honestly, you're so focused on Fearless and watching his ears and just knowing the job that you're about to get the honor to do. And then all of a sudden Dr. Jackson steps aside and you lean forward and Fearless just runs, and there's nothing. The first thing I remember thinking is like, oh, there goes the big double T. And then that's when you kind of start thinking about, all right, it's time to start slowing down. And then all of a sudden
on the field, yeah.
Because you're running and you're looking forward, and you're really not looking down to see where you're at. You just see, it's funny to say, like, you're not looking down, but like you know exactly where you are, because you can like see the tick marks or like the dash lines go by, and then all of a sudden like the big double T goes by, and I'm running towards two of my assistants, and then as they start getting closer, then you're like, oh man, we're already down here at the other end. He ran so fast. Can we turn around and run and go back the other way? Because it's just so incredible, and he's so fast and amazing that it's not until you get stopped that then you're like, wow, I just got to do that. So
so many videos of you that are all over social media of the Mastrider taking off. I remember my whole life that we've gone to football games, I'm always videoing when the Mastrider comes out, because that's so.
It's so iconic. It's so
really
incredible.
It's truly iconic, and it's so fascinating how well Fearless knows his job, because he hears
knows
those cues.
He knows his job.
He takes off, and it's so cool.
I think he would sleep all the way up until the fight song gets played, until we run. I think he would sleep the whole time, because he's like, this isn't my job yet. Like, no need to wake up and get worked up. And the second they play a song, it's like, okay, here we go, guys.
Yep,
and
this is my song.
He knows his job, and he runs. And by the time you start thinking, oh, hey, we need to start slowing up, he's already slowed up. He's by the time you get around the football team and figure out which side you need to stand on based off of how we won the coin flip or not, he's already back to, all right, I'm ready for people to come walk up and scratch and love on me, and he knows all of his jobs so well.
He knows the fight song better than anybody
Anybody
else
else?
do.
Yes,
Yeah.
I bet he could sing it better than the rest of us
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
You're
your
welcome.
time. Again, the
Thank you.
Texas Tech Master Rider, Ashley Adams. And we will see y'all in the next episode.